First, we're going to go to Settings, scroll all the way to the bottom, tap About Watch, scroll down to Serial Number and tap that 5 times quickly. Now wait a second, and it's going to bring up a hidden number pad. And if you guys stick around to later in the video, I'll show you guys what the secret passcode is to unlock more features on your Galaxy Watch 3. What's up guys, Eric here from TechEpisode TV, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 20 unknown features on the Galaxy Watch 3. Now a lot of these features may also work on older versions of the Galaxy Watch and even the Watch Active series as well, so if you have an older Galaxy Watch, definitely give it a shot on yours as well to see if it works. With that out of the way, let's get started. When you're entering a passcode for something like Samsung Pay, if it's hard for you to accurately hit the numbers on the dial here, you can actually just rotate the bezel to the number you want and release. Then it will add that number, rotate to another number, it'll add that one, another number, and then rotate to your last number, and it'll finish entering the passcode. Obviously, that's not my passcode, but that's a really useful feature if you find yourself constantly missing the numbers you want to press. Depending on what you're doing on your phone or your watch, you may get an icon that pops up at the bottom here. These are called ongoing icons, but what a lot of people don't realize is that you can actually tap this icon and jump straight into the relevant application. So I had a workout going, and all I had to do was tap that, and it took me straight into the Samsung Health app on my watch. This works for several different applications. So right now, you can see that it changed to a music icon because I'm now playing music on my phone. And if I tap that, it takes me straight into the music application where I can quickly pause or play my music, skip forward or back, or adjust the volume. And while we're in the music app, I do want to point out something else that a lot of people don't know about, and it's that if you swipe up from the bottom, you can actually see your entire playlist and select any other song you want to start playing. Now this only works with some music applications. So as you can see by this icon, I'm using Google Play Music right now, but if I switch to YouTube Music, this feature wouldn't work. Another thing that a lot of people don't know about the music player application is that it also works for controlling videos as well. So as you can see, I have a YouTube video playing right here, and I can go ahead and play or pause that video, skip ahead, skip back to different videos, and again, adjust the volume as well. But this feature expands even further because I can continue to control this even if I'm casting the video from my phone to my TV. So what that means is if I'm watching a movie using YouTube Premium on my TV by casting it from my phone, I can control that video from my wrist while I'm sitting on my couch. Unfortunately, when you do start casting it to a TV, you do lose volume control. So that volume control won't work anymore once you're casting to a TV. And in case you're wondering, this does work with some other third-party apps as well. For example, Amazon Prime Video works just the same as YouTube. However, when you cast an Amazon Prime Video to a TV, you lose control from the watch. And I do know that at the time of making this video, Disney Plus isn't supported at all. So it'll show you that you're playing something on Disney Plus, but the play pause button doesn't actually change anything on your phone. However, I'm pretty sure that we'll get support for those other applications as well in future updates. If you're someone who has a complex workout routine and you like to track all of the individual workouts in that routine, then this next feature is for you. If you open up the Samsung Health application and scroll down to record a new workout, tap workout again, then select your first workout. Let's say you're going to do weight machines. Go ahead, start that workout. When you finish that workout, tap the button to stop the workout, but instead of tapping finish workout, tap next workout. That's going to take you right back to this screen where you can select something different. So next, let's say the next thing you did was push-ups. So you select that, you do your push-ups, you finish your push-ups, you tap that button, and now you tap finish. Now you're going to get a lot more information about your workout than you typically would. So the first one here is workout duration. This is the duration of your entire workout and the total calories burned doing all of the different exercises. If you scroll down a little further, you'll see total duration. This is including the time you spent either taking breaks or switching between exercises. Further down, you'll see your push-ups workout, how long you were doing that, the number of calories, the weight machine workout, how long you were doing that, and the number of calories as well. And this list would obviously keep going if you had a bunch of other exercises as well. So you can see your results from every individual exercise as well as the total of all of those exercises together. And if you tap one of the workouts, you'll get even more specific information on that particular workout. If you don't like the rotary view for your applications, you can actually switch to a list view by going to Settings, scrolling down to Apps, tapping Layout, and switching that to List View. Now, if I go back to my applications, you'll see that they're all in a list format with the most recent applications on top, and then the rest of the applications alphabetically below that. This next one is the most asked about feature on my other Samsung Watch videos. If you're one of those people that wants the watch to stay on whatever the screen was that you were just looking at, when you turn your wrist down, you go do something, and you come back a little bit later, and you want it to open right back up to the music player or the Samsung Health app or something like that, then this next feature is for you. So by default, if you stop looking at your watch face and turn your wrist down or put your hand down or something like that for more than 20 seconds, the next time you turn your wrist back up or turn the screen back on at all, it won't actually be on the last app you were on. It'll actually take you right back to the watch face screen. If you want it to open back up to the last application, all you have to do is go to Settings, scroll down to Display, and scroll down to Show Last App, and change it to up to 1 hour. So by default, as I said a second ago, it was 20 seconds. So you can do 20 seconds, 2 minutes, or an hour. Unfortunately, there's no longer duration than an hour. So if it's been more than an hour since you used the music application and you look back at your wrist again, then it's going to be back to the watch face screen. Screenshots have gotten a whole lot easier and a lot more useful with the Galaxy Watch 3. On previous generations of the Galaxy Watch, you'd have to hold the home button and swipe across at the same time. This kind of thing, you'd have to do this and swipe across, and that would take a screenshot. But obviously that doesn't work anymore, so the new way to take a screenshot is simply to just press both the back and home buttons at the same time. As you can see, that quickly took a screenshot and pushed it up to the top. So that alone isn't terribly useful, but Samsung has added the ability to take a scrolling screenshot. And let me demonstrate why that's actually pretty useful. So I'm going to go to the Samsung Health app, and I'm going to scroll down to the Record Your Workout section. Scroll further down, tap View Log. And we're going to scroll down here and we're going to look at this running exercise here. Now, if I take a screenshot here, this little down arrow appears. And if I tap that, I can take a scrolling screenshot and see a lot more information. And when I'm done, I just tap done and it saves that screenshot. To see that screenshot, I just have to go to the gallery. So I'm going to go home, then go to the gallery application, and the one in the top left is your most recent screenshot. Now you just have to double tap and you'll get a full screen version of this that you can then scroll through. And one of the reasons why this is super valuable is for people who are really serious fitness people that want to track their stuff and they want to try to beat their own personal records. So let's say you went for a run and you totally crushed it. You had your best time ever. You had a great heart rate through the whole thing. And you're looking at all your stats and you're like, this was the best run I've ever had. Then you can take this elongated screenshot and save that. So the next time you have a really good run, you can quickly compare it to your previous best. If you didn't have this screenshot option, you'd have to go through your logs and try to remember which day, which month, which week you did that exercise and keep going through the logs until you found the right one. So that's just one example of how this can be really useful. On top of that, if you want to have this available on your phone, all you have to do is tap the 3 dots on the right, scroll down to send a phone, tap that, and it'll send the image right over to your phone, and it'll save it in a folder called Watch. This next feature is found in the Galaxy Wearable application on your phone. So go into your applications, go to the Galaxy Wearable application, then go to Notifications, tap See All Notification Settings, then tap Auto Open Apps on Phone, and enable this feature. What this is going to do is it's going to automatically open the relevant application as soon as you pick up your phone if you just looked at the notification on your wrist. So for example, if you got a text from someone and you take a look at the wrist and you see that the text just came in and you immediately pick up your phone and unlock your phone, it's actually going to open the messaging application and take you right to that person's message so you can quickly reply. Real quick, if you're learning new things from this video, go ahead and let me know by dropping a like down below. This next feature is great for people who live in colder climates. So let's say you're outside and you've got some gloves on and you want to interact with your watch. Well, chances are you won't be able to do it depending on how thick the glove is. But if you pull down your quick toggles find the one that looks like a power icon, tap that, then scroll down, you'll see this touch sensitivity option. If you tap that, then that'll turn on touch sensitivity. Now, when you put on a glove, you'll still be able to easily interact with your watch. But what about with a thick glove, like a snowboarding glove? Let's go ahead and see if that works. So I've got my big snowboarding gloves on now. Let's go ahead and test this out. And it looks like it still works. Now let's say for some reason your gloves were super thick and touch sensitivity didn't work for you. Then there's one more setting you can change to make it easier to navigate your watch when you can't actually touch the screen. All you have to do is go to Settings, scroll down to Apps, and turn on Auto Open Apps. So if I do this, and I go back to my app page, as soon as I scroll on to one of the different applications and then stop scrolling, it'll wait a couple seconds, then automatically open that application. So that's a great way to quickly either check messages or just quickly look in one of your other applications, even if you can't touch the screen. And if for some reason you're having trouble turning on touch sensitivity because you can't find this power toggle, just go to Settings, scroll down to Advanced, then scroll down to Touch Sensitivity, and you can turn it on from here. If you have little kids or you ever go swimming, this next feature is for you. So if I go ahead and pull down and take a look at my quick toggles here, and I scroll over, eventually you'll find something that looks like this. It's two little water droplets. If you tap that, it makes it so that there's no touch input on the screen. So no matter how much I touch this, and it doesn't matter which widget I'm looking at, which page I'm on, it's not going to interact with anything. Now, the reason this is important for kids is that if you've ever changed a baby's diaper with a watch on, you'd know that the first thing they do is grab the watch and keep touching the screen and trying to do different stuff with that watch. So much so that I've had deleted emails, I've had them start calling people, and I've had a bunch of issues in the past with my kids just interacting with my smartwatches while I'm changing their diapers. Once this feature became available on the Galaxy Watch, I started using it all the time when changing kids' diapers, and even just doing different things with the kids, like reading books sometimes, they would try to do stuff on the screen as well. And so it's a great way to stop them from engaging with the watch and actually engage in reading the book. And as I mentioned earlier, this is also great if you're just going for a quick swim, because if you've ever jumped in water or been in water with a touchscreen device, you'd know that it suddenly looks like the touchscreen's being touched everywhere sporadically, opening and closing different things and doing a lot of different things on your watch that you don't actually want to happen. So if you turn this on before you jump in the water, you don't have to worry about that. And once you're done with locking the screen, all you have to do is hold the home button for a few seconds. It'll make some sounds to eject any water, and it'll tell you to finish shaking any other water out of the watch. But what do you do if that sound didn't get all of the water out, and you go to take a phone call and it sounds kind of gurgly and nasty because there's still water in the speaker? Well, there's a solution for that too. The first thing you might think to do is just turn this water lock mode on and off until it fully clears the speakers. But that'll take an excessive amount of time. So a much faster way to do that is to simply go to Settings, scroll down to Advanced, then scroll down to Water Lock, tap that, scroll down a bit more, Eject Water with Sound, go ahead and tap that. Now tap Play Sound, and it's going to play that sound for a lot longer. And then once it finishes playing the sound, you can just start it again really quick. So this is a much faster way to get all of the water out of your speaker. While we're talking about these quick toggles, I want to point out a couple bonus unknown features with these. The first is that if you long press anywhere here, it'll allow you to edit these. And so I can long press this one and I can drag it over here and move them around. Or if there's one that I never really use, I can just tap the minus sign and delete it. And if I want to add more, I just tap the plus sign over here and I can add a few more toggles. And many of the toggles are actually really useful. So this volume toggle lets you adjust the volume pretty quickly. Touch sensitivity is a toggle that obviously turns touch sensitivity on or off very quickly. Power saving will take you into your power saving options. So if I go ahead and tap that, you'll see that this allows me to turn off everything except for calls, messages, and notifications to really extend battery life considerably if you need to. You can quickly play or stop your music. You can turn NFC on or off. You can turn location on or off. an option to connect your Bluetooth headphones directly to your watch so that you can listen to music that you saved to the watch when you go for a run and leave your phone at home. This middle toggle is Find My Phone. If you tap that, it'll make your phone start ringing even if your phone's on silent. There's airplane mode there. This is a really important one. It's a flashlight, and you used to have to download a separate application to actually do this, but what it does is it turns your screen onto white and max brightness, so you can actually use this as a light in a dark room, and it works surprisingly well. Like, this gets really, really bright and makes it really easy to see things in a room that was previously pitch black. It also has multiple brightness levels, so if it's too bright, tap it once to dim it, tap it a second time to dim it even more, and if you tap it a third time, it'll start blinking. And maybe you can use this to try to get someone's attention, like an SOS type thing, but this isn't actually blinking SOS in Morse code, it's just blinking on and off at a steady rate. You get a quick brightness adjustment, so if I tap that, I can quickly change my brightness to whatever I want it to be. You can set Wi-Fi to toggle on and off automatically, stay on, or stay off. Now, it's important to keep it on auto, and I'll explain that with another feature in a little bit. The battery icon lets you change your power mode. So if I tap power mode here, I can go to power saving, which I showed you a minute ago. That'll give me an extra 2 days and 14 hours of battery life. But if I go to watch only, I can get over 23 days of battery life with the watch. And I'm not even at 100% right now. That said, watch only literally just makes this a watch with no other features, no notifications, no nothing else. So I don't know how many people are going to use it in that mode. You also get an optimized battery option, and if you tap this, it's going to analyze your watch and find out what's draining power, and it'll give you suggestions on what to do to increase the battery life on your Galaxy Watch. Then there's related settings, which brings you to other settings that you can change to increase battery life as well. This top left one is theater mode, which is another really useful feature. I'm going to show you that in a second. And then you obviously have settings, power. This one here, if I tap this, it'll either mute it, turn on sound, or just set it to vibrate. This is turning on your always on display or turning it back off. And you have a do not disturb mode here as well. And the do not disturb mode can be set for only a limited amount of time, so 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, or indefinitely until you manually turn it off. And you have good night mode, which turns off the ability to wake the screen by touching it. So if I go ahead and touch it now that the screen is off, nothing's going to turn back on. And if I roll the bezel, nothing happens either. The only way to get the screen to come back on now is by clicking one of the buttons. So this is what you'd use if you wanted to do sleep tracking and didn't want to accidentally be interacting with a bunch of different things on your watch while you sleep. Let's jump back over to theater mode now. We'll turn that on. This is a great feature if you're going to the movies. So it turns off the always on display, it stops your screen from waking up, and it turns off the system sounds, and it stops your alarms as well. So if you have any alarms set, those alarms will also be muted while you're in theater mode. By default, theater mode is going to run for 2 hours and then automatically turn back off after 2 hours. If you want to change that, you tap the time up here, and you can do for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours. But if you want to change the default amount of time of 2 hours and you want it to always do it for 3 hours because you tend to watch longer movies and you want to account for time where there's trailers playing and things like that, all you have to do is go to Settings, scroll down to Advanced, scroll down to Theater Mode, and scroll down to Duration, tap that, and select any other duration. So let's say you want it to do 3 hours all the time. And now the next time you enable theater mode, it'll do it for 3 hours before automatically turning off. And obviously you can manually turn off theater mode anytime you want. This next feature allows you to make calls and send texts from your Galaxy Watch 3 even if you don't have your phone with you. And no, you don't need the LTE version. All you need is the Bluetooth version of the Galaxy Watch 3. The only caveat is that you need your watch to be connected to a Wi-Fi network in order for this to work. First, you need to open up the Galaxy wearable app on your phone. Then you need to scroll all the way to the bottom and tap Account and Backup. Then tap Remote Connection. Tap the actual words, don't just tap the toggle. Then turn the feature on, and this will allow you to receive notifications, messages, emails, and allow you to use the Find My Watch and Find My Phone features even if you're not Bluetooth connected to the phone, as long as the watch is connected to a Wi-Fi network. If you also want to be able to make calls and send texts, then all you have to do is turn on call and text on other devices. So if you tap this, then you'll be taken to settings, and you'll go through a setup process to activate this feature. Once that's set up, there's 2 more settings you're going to want to change. So let's go ahead and back out, then tap Sync Phone Settings, and you want to make sure Sync Wi-Fi Networks is turned on. This makes it so that any Wi-Fi network you have access to on your phone, all of those passwords get transferred to your watch. So if your phone ever disconnects from your watch through Bluetooth, then your watch can still get on those networks because it has the passwords. The last setting you need to change is in the Galaxy Watch 3 itself. Go ahead and pull your toggles down and scroll over to the Wi-Fi looking one, and make sure it has an A next to it. If I tap this again, Wi-Fi is always on. Tap it again, Wi-Fi is always off. You want to make sure it has the A. And the reason is because as soon as your Galaxy Watch 3 disconnects from your phone, let's say I left my phone in my car and I went into my friend's house and it was too far away and the watch disconnects, the watch will automatically turn Wi-Fi on and connect to my friend's Wi-Fi network, so I can still make and receive phone calls on the watch, as well as make and receive texts and get notifications. So this is an incredibly powerful feature that I highly recommend everybody enables. By default, the Galaxy Watch 3 screen won't wake up when you tap the screen, but you can turn that feature on by going to Settings, scrolling down to Advanced, scrolling down to Screen Wake Up, and tapping Touch Wake Up and turning that feature on. Now, if I have the screen off and I tap the screen, it'll turn right back on. If you're ever trying to meet up with friends or family in really large areas, like say at Disney or any other big theme park, then this next feature is going to be really useful. While you're in the Messages app, all you have to do is tap the 3 dots and you'll see an option for Send My Location. If you tap that, it'll send them your exact coordinates, making it a lot easier to meet up with someone. By default, the widget backgrounds are just going to be black, but if you want to add some color in there, you can do that by going to Settings, scrolling down to Display, then scrolling down to Background Style, and you can select any one of these preset backgrounds. So if I grab this blue one right here, and I go back to my home screen, and I start going to my widgets, you'll see that I now have a colored background. Now keep in mind, with the colored background, you are going to get slightly less battery life, because since this is an OLED panel, any pixels that are black are not actually consuming any energy. So when you take off the black pixels that were there before in the background and you make them a color, then that is going to consume a little bit more energy. But to be honest, it's probably not going to be a noticeable amount. Now it's time for the secret code I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So let's go ahead and jump back into Settings, scroll all the way back down to About Watch, tap that, scroll down once, tap serial number 5 times. Now the code you want to enter is *#0*#, then wait a second, it'll accept the code, and it'll open up something called Test Mode. Now this is useful for a couple reasons. The first is that this will help you make sure that everything is working on your watch. So let's say, for example, you don't think that the wheel or bezel is working properly. All you have to do is go down to the rotary test, tap that. Now, as I rotate this clockwise or counterclockwise, these are going to be filling in as a highlighted color, either yellow or green, depending on which way you're rotating the bezel. If any part of the bezel is not working, one of these won't fill in, and you'll know that there's a certain part of the bezel that doesn't work, and you can prove that to Samsung very quickly and get your watch repaired under warranty. The same thing goes for the touch sensor. Let's say you feel like part of your screen doesn't actually work. You can go ahead and draw on this touch sensor and make sure that every part of the screen works. An alternate use for this menu is found in Sensor. If you tap this, you'll get the output of a bunch of different sensors. So there's an accelerometer, barometer, there's a light sensor, and then there's a gyroscope. If you tap Display on the light sensor, it's going to tell you how bright it is on a level from 1 to 10. But at the top, you can also see that there's a lux output, so you can actually measure exactly how bright something is using your watch. Now, this isn't something that a ton of people are going to get a lot of use out of, but I know that I personally, with some of the work that I have to do, I do need to know how bright certain things are, and so this gives me a good gauge of figuring out if something is as bright or not as bright as a different light. To get back out of any of these menus, just double press the back button and it takes you back one screen. If I double press it again, I'll go back one more screen and I can check any of these other features on the watch. If you're having a hard time feeling the vibrations from notifications that you're getting on your wrist, you can actually increase the intensity of those by going to Settings, Sound and Vibration, and scrolling all the way down to Long Vibration. If you turn this on, vibrations for calls and notifications are going to last a lot longer, making it easier to notice them. You could also check to make sure that your vibration intensity is set to strong. And now it's time for some bonus features. If you go ahead and open up the Stopwatch application, and you go ahead and start a run, and you go ahead and tap lap here, you'll see that the laps don't actually show up. You can't actually see anything here. You have to swipe up from the bottom to see those. But if you want to be able to see the laps on the screen at the same time, you can do that by tapping these three dots over here on the right and switching to digital. Now, if I start a run and I go ahead and tap lap now, you'll see up to 4 splits right on the screen. And if I go past 4 splits, then all I have to do is tap it and I can scroll through all the previous splits. Now, this is particularly useful if you're trying to time contractions like I did with my wife during one of her pregnancies. And I can tell you from experience, it's a lot easier to time contractions where you can see the last 4 right in front of you than it is to try to time them from the analog face where you can't see any of them and you have to continually swipe up to see the last few. If you're using a supported watch face, you can actually turn on the sound of the second hand ticking. To do that, go to Settings, scroll down to Sounds and Vibration, then scroll down to System Sounds, scroll further down to Ticking Sound, and go ahead and turn that on. Now if I go back, you can hear a faint ticking of the second hand. You probably can't hear it this far away from the microphone, so let me hold up to the mic so you can hear it. This next feature is back in the Galaxy Wearable application, so let's go ahead and open that up. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you're going to tap Sync Phone Settings. And you'll see this option here for Sync Do Not Disturb. If you turn this off, when you set Do Not Disturb on your phone, it's not going to affect the watch, and vice versa. This is particularly useful if you only have important notifications going to your watch anyway, and you want to quickly shut the rest of them off, but you still want to get texts and calls, then you can turn on Do Not Disturb on your phone to stop getting all of the Twitter and Facebook notifications, and still get all the important notifications on your wrist. By default, the app screen is going to have your most recent app in the front, and it's going to be your least recent applications following after that. But if you always want to have the same applications in a specific order, all you have to do is long press for a second, then long press an application, and you get an option to set custom app order. If I tap the check mark, then now I can move these applications around wherever I want. So I can long press Samsung Health and move that over here, maybe take the contacts application and move it over here, and really just organize things however I'd like. And if I want to move it to a different page, I just hold it over to the side, and it'll move over to those pages. If you guys found this video helpful, go ahead and hit that like button down below to help me beat the YouTube algorithm. And if you don't want to miss the rest of my Galaxy Watch 3 coverage, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you'll actually get notified when I upload the videos. That's it for this tech episode. God bless guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.